Alright guys, welcome back. Today we are going to be working on running the headlight wires and getting them all set up. Alright, so we got my string of mess here, that older wiring harness, so I have to restring this out and figure out where everything's going. Some things I don't need anymore because I went with the electric headlights, so I don't need these door sensors, electric window door sensors. But we need to string this out to see what goes where. So I know the green, I think it goes like that. I'll look at the wiring diagram here. The schematics here. So I got my green. I don't know if you can see it. Maybe zoom in a little bit right here. But so I got this right here, ground, green, and then going that way. So I need those connections there. So that's what I need to find out. So these two, looks like these two connections will go right there. So I can I can take these out and run new wire to it and kind of, yeah, and start moving it from the passenger side over. So that's what it looks like. I need these for sure, so I can cut it like right there. I can cut all these and then go from there, because that's what I need, and then I can install them into the car and run them along the car and get the right length. And see, because remember this big mess where they had that just all soldered into one area? We need to get rid of that. That's kind of a dumb setup. So that's all I'm going to need is the two, it looks like, and go from there. I don't think this wire right here, I'm not going to change. It's still a good wire. I think I'm just going to change out the wire from here and run on. It's more about the harness than it is and getting rid of a bunch of wires. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm just going to cut that off and start building it. Alright, so just to get these out, just take a little screwdriver, a flat blade screwdriver, and you can just push in there and it'll come right on out. So there's a little tab, you can see a little tab right there, if we can focus. A little tab right there, and all you're doing is just push that tab down and pulling out. And then I kind of just made a little mark on this to remember what wire went to what. So I just kind of scratched it with to make a little positive, or just a scratch. That way I know the scratch goes with the black. And so now I can take the heat shrink and heat shrink these two wires and make them all nice and get them. Let's see, how do I want this? So I want these wires to be heat shrink like that, and then that way I can put that back on, and then there's the heat shrink, make that look nice. Alright, so there's my two ends. Got them heat shrink down and everything, make it look nice. So this is the passenger side. So now I'm going to run this and plug it in and start seeing what wires I need to do, and then I can heat shrink, you know, going that way, following my diagram here. So these, according to my diagram, the green, let me look a little bit closer. The green connects at the bulkhead. So the green wire, I can actually, because there's two green wires that connect at the bulkhead for both of the lights. So the green wire itself, I can tap in to the other light and then just run one wire that way. Less wires going that way. And then the brown taps into the other brown that goes to the marker lights. And of course, ground, you know, we'll tap into the ground as we go. So I got to get those measurements, and then we can, once I get this basically up to where the alternator is. Then I can pull it all back out and heat shrink the rest. You know, well, if I could get the bigger heat shrink over some of the ends and stuff, and heat shrink the rest where it follows, you know, everything, and everything will be heat shrink together and no movement there. And then I'll get like a bigger roll of heat shrink that'll heat shrink all of it together, or I could keep it separate. You know, it's up to you. You know, and I just might loom it, because it might work better having them separate. That way they're not all heat shrunk, you know, together. And if you do have other wiring problems, you can always come back and diagnose it a lot easier if they're in separate strands. I personally think I'm just going to heat shrink the whole thing. That way it'll just hide much better and look much better. But we'll see when we get there. See, now we got my wires coming up right here. Now I can see where I want to tap in. I got a ground, let's see, right here somewhere. So I know I need to mark or tap into the ground right in here. So then these, I can go ahead and put some heat shrink along here and just keep the wires nice as I go. Where is that other ground? And then these other ones right here, I'm gonna disconnect these. These go to my electric headlight. What would you call it? The electric headlight openers. I am gonna take this duct tape off, or not duct tape, the electrical tape, and I want to do the heat shrink instead of that. So then I can tap this into there too. So that way, when I get to there, everything will be nice and strung up. So I want to give it a little bit of play, so I can kind of see where I want to go. So this will be, I'm gonna, you know, take all that off also. So, and that way it's all in just one nice strand wire, and you know, I don't have 3 separate wires, because this one, I have to look. I think it goes all the way into the firewall. But I can make a disconnect on the very end there and run these. That way it's nice and clean. That way I have all the wires just, you know, ran all in the same general direction. So now you can kind of see. So see, these are going to be my headlights. These are my marker lights. Then right here, these ones are for the headlight doors, the electric headlight doors. So I could leave them like that if I wanted to, but just to make it all look real nice and everything in one strand, I think I'll clean that up. The headlight actuators there, the electric headlight. This electrical tape is already dry and it's already starting to peel off. So I am just going to make a splice at the end there, and then I'll make a quick connect when I get to the end there. I'll make a quick connect, and that way everything will be heat shrink and everything will be nicer. Yeah, so I'm just gonna take that apart, and then as I go, I'm just gonna heat shrink and go with the wire. And I got to make sure I mark them right, because I got a green right here, so I got to make sure that that green is gonna be a different color green, you know. And then I got purple. So purple's not. I'm not gonna worry about purple. And I got orange and yellow right here. So I don't have any other orange and yellow. But that green, I have to make sure that I don't switch the green up. So I have to remember that. So as you can see, I don't know if you can see, but this tape is just coming right off. It's not even sticky. It's just falling apart. It's more like a plastic. It's weird. Yeah, you can kind of see that this isn't even like sticking on there. It's just, like I said, it's just kind of like a plastic loom. Eventually that would just, this would fall apart. So we're just gonna get rid of this, do it right, make it look a little bit nicer. And look at it, just like I said, just falls apart. So yeah, it feels more like plastic than it does like a tape. I don't like it. All right, so I measured out the strand, and we'll just heat this up. Start shrinking it down. Trying to prevent those wires from twisting too much. I want them to kind of stay as nice and straight as I can. You can already tell this is just a much better looking, or a much better setup. Looks better. It's going to work better. So this is, I'm going right to there where it's going to tee off and connect to the other wires. So that's the only strand I'm going to do there until I run the other ones. So now I can plug this in back in. Okay. Keep these separate. These separate. So now I can heat shrink. I can heat shrink these until I get to the middle. I'll show you. So basically, I'm going to heat shrink these little by little, you know, so that I kind of want, you know, you still want a little bit of play. But then when I get to right about here, this is where I want this to kind of come into play right there. And that'll all be in one heat shrink. Not this one particularly, but these ones. And then I can run all these, you know, going one way. So because this is basically all headlight stuff, so that this will open up the headlights. These turn on the headlights and do the high beam, low beam. Of course, then these are the marker lights. Okay, so that way I'm kind of keeping everything separated as I go. So I'm going to heat shrink some pieces going up that way. All right, so then just keep these wires nice and tight as I go. Temporary placeholder on where I want this to be. So see, I got quite a bit of slack. So I want to see where my wires will be. So I'm just going to use a zip tie to hold this in place where I want it. That way, let's see, I put it in this little holder here. That way I know I got plenty of room. So somewhere right about there. Okay. So that'll just be our temporary placeholder until we get it strung out more. And now our harness, we can keep working our way over with our harness. So now see, I won't have to worry about that moving back and forth. Now I can work on this and put more heat shrink going along until I get to right about here. So, and then I'll bring in these wires and start heat shrinking them along the way too. Okay, so now you can kind of see my wire setup. That one goes down there, and then I got the two right there, and I'm, like I said, I'm just gonna zip tie where they're all gonna meet, and I'm gonna keep them all separate and just keep working that way. So that one turned out really nice. Kept all the wires nice and straight and everything like that. Doesn't like to focus. There we go. Boy. But anyway, the pretty proud of that one. So that one turned out good. So now I can put this one in, you know, on this side. And I took the measurements, but now I can plug it back in. And I know where to bring it up, so now I can keep this one separate. And then when these two meet, then I can attach them right there. And these, I'm keeping these three separate. But once I get to these, then I'll heat shrink these all together. Okay, so now we made our loom on this side. He shrunk it all down, everything. I'll plug it in, and then I got these three wires that'll run this way, and then of course these wires are still separate, and I'm just going to keep heat shrinking it as I go, and we'll just keep going that way. And then now the front will be done until I get to about the alternator, and that's kind of where I'm going to stop probably for today. But now you can kind of see how everything's going to shape up, and it's going to be nice, a lot more cleaner. I will come back. I am going to take all this out again, and then with these straps on here, you know, like I said, I'll either heat shrink the whole thing or just do a wire loom. Either or, it doesn't matter. Just to make it all nice and together. Wire loom might work better, and keep all these, like I said, wires separate in case something does happen, and we can fix it. All right, guys, it's day 2. I didn't get to finish making the video yesterday or the day before. I should be having more of my heat shrink coming. I'm getting pretty short on this, so I had to order some more, and of course life gets in the way. So we're just gonna keep wrapping the heat shrink in sections and working my way up to the alternator area. And I'm just trying to keep, like I said, all these wires and everything. I don't want them to like rotate around too much, so I'm just trying to keep them all nice and straight and bundled, you know, like that. Then that way, you know, there's no twisting or anything like that. Very easy to trace. If you ever have to splice, you know, you can figure out exactly where to splice and whatnot. This heat gun works just fine. I just kind of wish it would blow a little more hot air, a little bit faster, but it works just fine. I mean, because I got the cheapest one, because I know I'm not going to use a heat gun too much in my life. I mean, some of these can go up to a couple $100. So this one's like $34. So beggars, they say beggars can't be choosers. All right, I'll put one more, and then I think I can run it through, and then come over to the other side here of the hood. Do one more. So probably, I don't know, probably 4 more strands on each maybe, and then I could do a few more strands on this one too. So we need to get up to right about here for sure, because I want it to wrap around into this inner fender well, and then from there, that's where we're gonna kind of rewire, do like the horn relay and everything, rewire from there, because everything's gonna jump into like a fuse box slash relay box. I purchased one that should be coming in a day or two, and I'm gonna take out this old horn relay. That way it's all like in a box. You know, it's gonna be hidden away. You won't see the wires. It'll just be a black box on the outside. And then I could take whatever else, because I'm gonna put like what do they call bus bars too, right there. So I'm gonna build from that little junction box. I'm gonna have like a bus bar for ground and the positive and whatnot. Okay. So then from there, then we'll bus everything over to where it needs to go. The reason I'm doing that is basically that horn relay has a tiny little bus bar for the power. So we're just kind of eliminating that whole horn relay. I know the horn relay has a little buzzer function. The buzzer function's long gone on it. It doesn't buzz, so it doesn't matter anyway. I don't like it anyway. So other than that, I should have I'll have 2 relays, one for the horn and one for the fans. I got a relay underneath here for the fans already, but like I said, then I can just replace that. No big deal. All right, let me just finish doing a little more heat sink or heat shrink, whatever you want to call it. People call it both, I guess, but yeah, we'll just keep going, and then hopefully I get some parts here soon. They said today, so we'll see. This is why I kept them separate, to help stay organized with my my wiring. So if you remember, these are the marker lights and the horn, so that's why it's all in one strand. These ones are the headlights, and then these ones are the electric headlight actuators. All right, and then so now I gotta get down to my fan here and take this one off and rewire the wire from the fan and come up this way. So that's no big deal. I'll just take a little bit to get up there, and then I can start wiring a red and black wire for the fan. And that way, when like I said, it all can come right here, and it'll all be in bundles like this. And then as I go, I can zip tie it in places, and then that way it's all in there. And then when I can come back, then I can make a whole big wire loom out of the whole thing at what length it needs to be. So, you know. All right, so now I'm going to stop right there for these right now. Just put these off to the side, and then I'll get down to that. Well, I just wanted to show you. So, like, I wired loomed this one previously when I installed the fans. So you can see, like, the wire loom. It looks okay. I prefer the heat shrink look. But I mean, that's an option for you guys too, if you want the wire loom, and it keeps everything just kind of put together. It's all about just trying to stay organized with the wiring. But the heat shrink is going to be a much better solution. So we're just gonna cut all this. We're gonna go with heat shrink, and that goes. I know what wire it goes to, because I know those go into my that relay. So it's just trying to keep all the, like I said, all the wiring organized. So I'm going to rewire this. Do heat shrink going down, and of course it'll give me some extra length. You always want to make sure you got extra length. You'd rather have extra than too short. So, all right. So now for the fans, instead of going with red, I decided to do an orange. I want to keep my red wire for mainly constant power and everything, and anything that goes maybe to a relay, the fuse box, anything like that. So then I'll recolor code the fan to orange and then ground for black, of course. That way I just keep everything separated, and then I have to remember on my schematics that I'm making, I have to change from red to orange, and then that way everything's gonna be okay there. So now that I got that, I'll take the length, kind of rough length I need, and then I'll put some heat shrink going all the way down on this one, because it's just a short length. So I could do like a whole, I don't know, probably about a whole foot or two, maybe 2 feet worth of heat shrink maybe. We'll kind of just put it on there. Or no, you know what, I'll wait until I get my junction box, and then that way I know exactly where to run it. But I can do the same thing. Put a piece here, piece there, and then do a whole section of it. All right, there's the nice little strand. I can put another heat shrink over that, a little bit longer one when I get it, and then I'll go over the whole top. Go over the whole top of that. But the whole thing looks much better. And then of course I got the length that I need. Alright, so now I can plug that back in, run the wires with the other ones, and I'm kind of coming to a standstill. I guess I can start working on my wires coming this way, and then meet in the middle. I'm waiting on that junction box, or that fuse slash relay box, if I can wire everything in my bus bars. So, and yeah, we're just waiting on stuff. But let me plug this back in and let's see what we can do going the other way. All right, so then I pulled the brake fluid sensor. Come on, it wants to focus. The brake fluid sensor, so I printed off that with a heat shrink, put it on there. All the ends like this, they're like go to the ends of the engine and all that. We can label. Up front, we don't have to label because it goes into, like, it's pretty self-explanatory up front. I can do that. I can put the labels on the front, marking exactly where they go, and I might do that while I'm waiting on parts. Yeah, like I said, I'm just kind of waiting, so we're just tinkering around and make them look nice. And so, like, I'll do the fan. Maybe that's so. This is all my stuff unbound. Here's a circuit breaker right here. This goes inside. I have to trace it. Goes inside to there, so it needs a constant power. I can't remember exactly what that power goes to. I think it's for my windshield wipers, because I needed the constant power. Could be wrong, but anyway, I'll just keep that there, because I'll just run it with the rest of the wires for the actuator, for the actuators. So that's no big deal, because it's just going to come out right there. And then this one right here, this one is a ignition wire, and then of course we got this big horn relay that we're going to replace with a newer style relay. We can almost take this whole thing out. I actually can take the whole thing out. I just need to take off this ignition wire. I need to mark it though. That way I know exactly what it's for. I don't want to forget when I start rewiring this way. But yeah, constant power going this way. And that's why I'm making the video too. I can come back and reference this. So my circuit breaker, as you can see, just it jumps over to the main, you know, bus cable there. So look at all these old rickety wires and everything like that. And then these two wires right here, the green one is your horn. This black one is from the horn itself. You know, the push button horn, and these are, the green is actual the horns going forward. This is your buzzer, this pink with a black stripe. That is your buzzer, your ignition buzzer. And then everything else is just hot wire going right here. And then we got fusible links. The fusible links will go away because I got fuse blocks. I got a mini fuse block coming for it, so those can be deleted also. All right, so maybe what I'll do, I could take this whole thing out, and like I said, the one ignition, I'll mark it. Then the rest of the wires I can start pulling through, because then this is the whole harness for this one side, and that'll be done with that. And then when I get my fuse block, I can reference everything from here if I need to, and go from there. So I need to do that. I need to disconnect this wire before I can start running these two other wires going this way, because that's the only other wires that come that way besides the stuff that comes off the bulkhead. And then we'll figure out what goes to the bulkhead. A lot of the other wires I hid really well. I want to fix these since I'm here. You know, this goes into my what would you call it, the windshield wiper. So I just taped it up, and I got to get some of these other wires, plug-ins, probably heat shrink up or something like that if I can, make it look a lot nicer through there. And then of course I got my other wire looms that are going through here. So see, I gotta figure out what wires are going where on this, going this way now. It's just a little bit of a challenge to, like these ones I know are already my down to my ignition. It's just these other wires, when I get to here, I have to figure out where they go. I know one goes up into the distributor, and then there's another tack wire. So we can start working this way now. And while we're waiting on that fuse block there, yeah, that fuse block. And all right, so I got a nice relay battery tie down, or holder, I guess you'd call it. All right, billet aluminum. And so we got there. So now we're gonna run our wire, but I'm gonna turn this around a little bit, and I want this wire to come kind of like that, you know, more that way. And then of course we're gonna have a little fuse box right there to run, you know, or from here down to the starter. I want to own a fuse right there somewhere. So and then of course I got to run the ground. And I also did this over here. So got that all cleaned up and everything, and heat shrunk up to here. Okay, and then these ends right here, it's going to go into another bus bar. And like I said, with be a bus bar that runs from here down to there, and then of course other areas that need the power, and then ground with just a ground. I'm waiting on, like I said, the fuse box and relay box before I kind of position where I want everything down in there. I want to make it look nice. So I want to make sure I get all the components first, but I'll have plenty of wire to work with right here. And so all that, see all that wire, basically, that's all will be shown right there. And then I'll heat shrink that wire, and then of course these other wires coming this way will go into that loop there, go down in there, and then it'll come up in underneath down in here, and then run to the bulkhead. And of course I still got to go through this and start taking all that out. So just little by little, like I said, I gotta wait though. I want to make sure I get all my stuff first before I get too crazy. Especially with this, I need to wait. I want to do more, but I just gotta wait. It's just how it is. All right, I'm gonna leave off right there. We'll see you guys next time. And thanks for stopping by and watching my crazy my crazy project. All right, see you guys next time.